Hey sneak peekers, Tori here. Today I got to talk to Simon Phillips, who is one of the actors in the upcoming Netflix series, FUBAR. The action comedy is about a CIA operative played by Arnold Schwarzenegger who has to do one more mission before he retires. During the mission, he finds out that his daughter, who is played by Monica Barbaro, is also in the CIA. The mission soon becomes a dysfunctional father-daughter affair. Simon Phillips, the cast member who I'm speaking with today, is an award-winning actor. Age of the Living Dead and The Nights Before Christmas are just a few of the projects he's worked on.
Morning, Tori. How are we doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. So far, so good, but it could all mess up because it's still early.
Well, let's hope not, and that things keep, going great.
Not on this one, don't worry. I meant just in a day in general, Tori.
So the first question I want to ask is, are there any differences between the character that you play in FUBAR and the other characters that you played in your past works?
I've never had to do a Flemish accent or speak in German before, so that was exciting on this one. And I never got to sit opposite Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah, that was super exciting.
That sounds epic. What about any similarities? Because I know you've been in a lot of action works in the past.
I've definitely played the bad guy before, the villain. That's my thing. You know, I always think about like characters whenever you're doing something with characters. You just got to make them a little three-dimensional, sort of jump off the page a little bit. So I always try to add something in it, like a bit of humor or something to make him a bit more well-rounded or a bit more, believable or something like that. You add a bit of your own personality. So in some ways, all of these characters are a little bit of me. Sort of, you build them up in your arsenal of characters you've got in your head. I know you have to kind of find a way to make it your own, and that's how they come about for me. I'm not sure how everybody does it, but that's my system. So you kind of touched on the fact that you had to learn some lines in German, and I actually wanted to ask you about that. What was it like? Was it difficult? Were you on Duolingo like for a whole month? Oh, yes. Well, so when I got the part, I auditioned just in my British accent I'm talking to you now in, and then they were like, oh, okay, we've got, we'll give you the part, but you have to do it in this Flemish accent. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, and what is a Flemish accent? I don't even know if I know what that is. And they were like, oh, from Holland. And I was like, okay, I will look that up. They were like, no, you don't have to look it up. We got a voice coach for you. So they send you to some sessions. A little bit of it was in German. And it was difficult for me because I don't speak any other language. So it's not like I naturally speak, I don't know, Spanish or something exciting like that. I only speak English. I don't even speak French or anything remotely. So I have no idea how well I do at the language because I just learn it, just the little lines that we have, and hopefully get it right. You might be pronouncing it right, but you might be emphasizing it wrong. Like if I'm saying, I'm going to kill you, I know that the right word to emphasize is kill. But if I'm saying it in German, I might be like, I'm going to kill you, and I'm emphasizing the wrong bit of the sentence. But obviously you wouldn't know that because whilst you're saying the words right, you might be talking about the wrong bit. Well, I guess from what I've heard in your past interviews, you must have been pretty good at doing this speaking German because Arnold Schwarzenegger thought that you were German or that you knew the language already? Yes, in between takes. And in between those bits, I'm just still sat with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And obviously, and he started speaking to me in German. And I was like, oh, I don't speak German. Sorry. And he was like, oh, you don't? I thought you were fluent. And I was like, good. Then I must have done the German lines right because that's why he thought that. I was like, all right. This is Arnold's first show. Did that cause you to feel any pressure? Like, oh my gosh, I have to perform amazing because it's his first and it's going to be a big deal. To be honest, I didn't know that at the time. Actually, the time I found that out was when I got there. They were like, this is Arnold Schwarzenegger's first ever TV show. And I was like, is it? And they were like, can you think of another one? I was like, no, I can't think of another one. So this is his first show. You're in the first episode. In fact, you are the first person he speaks to in, face-to-face sits down with someone. And I was like, oh, right. I was like, good. I'm welcoming Arnold Schwarzenegger to the world of TV. I like that. Sort of, so no pressure, just an immense amount of fun. For me, this is, it's all adrenaline. Never in my wildest dreams, did I ever think I would be sat with Arnold Schwarzenegger doing a scene. And now I have. So what was it like to shoot in Toronto? I shoot a lot of stuff in Toronto. In terms of the whole show, Tori, these guys got to go to lovely places. The rest of the cast got to go to beaches in Argentina and, exotic locations. Simon got to go to a warehouse in Toronto, so less exciting. But it was a warehouse with Arnold Schwarzenegger, so more exciting. That's the good part about it. It wasn't just a warehouse. See, you've got the right attitude. It wasn't just a warehouse. The warehouse on Schwarzenegger. My glasses there was definitely more than half full.
In a past interview, you said that even though you've done a lot of work in horror and action films, you actually don't really prefer those genres. You just are in those type of roles because you're good at it. So, how did you become so good at playing the bad guy?
Don't know. I think about that all the time. If my friends and if they're going to know me, I'm a funny guy. They go, you should do comedies, and I was like, I'd love to do comedies all the time, but they won't let me. Sort of, or I don't get the jobs for comedies, I guess is the way to say it. If they need some nasty guy who's threatening to rape and kill people, I was like, my phone rings a lot. I don't know how that happened or why that happens. My mum said I'd be good at something one day. I don't know if she thought it was this, but this is how it gets. So once you're good at that, as an actor, you have to keep using that. But you don't have to be. The world is a big place. You don't have to be one thing anymore. You can do multiple things. But I'm just very privileged to be in a position where I get to play make-believe for a living. And to be honest, if they want you to be a bad guy, they want you to be a bad guy. For me, that's a lot easier than doing a Monday to Friday 9 to 5 job. So I think I'd rather keep doing this.
I was watching some of the interviews that you did in the past, and I was like, okay, this guy seems really nice, really cool. And then I watched your demo reel, and like all the stuff I saw, I was like, oh, what?
See, Tori, that's the problem. People see the demo reel first a lot of the time, and they go, or they see, no, maybe not the demo, they see me in a movie first, and then they talk to me after the movie, and they're like, yeah, and I can tell that they don't like me, sort of. And I was like, but really, what they mean is they don't like I just killed somebody or killed 10 people or done something particularly violent or nasty on screen, and you're like, well, yes, I mean, that wasn't me, sort of. That wasn't me personally. It was just pretending. My mother came to a premiere once, Tori, and she was like, why did you do that, Simon? You were so nasty to that girl. And I was like, Mum, it's like, the words are written down. They tell you what to say and what to do. It wasn't really nasty, that girl. We had lunch that day, the day that I murdered her brutally. I had lunch with her afterwards. We're still good friends.
Besides the fact that FUBAR has a comedic aspect to it and that it has Arnold Schwarzenegger, what are some other ways that this series is different from your past projects?
I've never done an action comedy TV series before at all. So I actually like the idea that it has comedy in it. I've been a funny character in an action thing, but it's not been a comedy. So for me, this is actually a first. So it's completely different. And it's a big budget Netflix. This show is like $200 million show. Nick Santora, Dana Goldberg. These are all great people, to be working with, and the cast is amazing. They're real fun making it, and I think you feel that if you watch it and you're like, yeah, I think this show is fun to make. So
you've also created your own work like Age of the Living Dead, which is on Amazon Prime. I'm a film student, and I would like to one day have a project of my own that's on something other than my own YouTube channel. So what advice do you have for me and other film students like myself on how to get that big break?
So if you make your own content, I think the advice I would give to people is surround yourself with a good team. Now, the more work that you do, the easier that is. So if you're like involved in other people's projects first, I guess is what I mean. But then you see a good cinematographer or a good sound guy or a good makeup girl or a costume designer or something or whatever the team. But slowly over time, you build yourself a team of contacts and people that you would like to do something with. And when you've got a really good team around you, these designers and stuff like that, the work gets really easy because these people are trying to make your vision, so as you go, right, guys, I have an idea for a show and it's this. And then those people just help you flesh that idea out and they help you make it big and real and stuff like that. And that's exactly what happened with Age of the Living Dead. You can't do it all yourself is the thing I've learned. That's the problem with young students. They have a vision to do something, but they don't want people to help them. You don't micromanage. You have to allow people to help you and add value to you. So the more that you do that, I think the easier that it gets. Keep it collaborative, because then you get something bigger than the sum of its parts. It's a little trial and error, I've made some stuff before that has been less successful because, the team isn't quite right. But you've got to keep going, you got to learn by your mistakes and keep moving forward so that everything you do, and I mean in terms of your own content creation, is the best thing you've ever done. And you keep making the best thing you've ever done. And hopefully in 10 years' time, Tori, when you're doing something, you look back on the thing you first did and you're embarrassed by it because that shows how far you've come. That's what it has to be. That's good. You know, that shows that you've gone somewhere. Because if you looked back at something you did 10 years ago and you were still happy with it, then it showed no progression. You haven't moved forward a little bit.
Okay, this is my last question, and I actually hate to ask you this, but I've got to do it for my family because they're gonna freak. You're gonna be in this upcoming season of The Witcher. My mom and sister love that show. Are there any little hints or details you can tell us about this season or your role?
To the right of me here, I've got another screen which has got FUBAR on it, and it has 5 pages of things on this PDF that they send us that I cannot tell you about FUBAR. The Witcher is even worse than this, right? The Witcher is like working for the CIA. The Witcher, I can tell you that I'm in season 3. Just for an episode, only one episode, but I can't tell you anything. If I tell you something about The Witcher, somebody knocks on my door from Netflix and slits my throat. That's what happens if I mention anything about The Witcher. So all I can say is I'm in season 3, and it's very exciting because I saw it the other day. And it comes out, I think, in late June. I have to be very thankful, Tori, to Netflix. They keep giving me big jobs on huge shows. If they put me in Stranger Things, I'm just gonna have to name my next child Netflix or something to thank them.
Well, can you blink twice if this season is going to be amazing, and if the season of FUBAR is going to be amazing? Can you at least do a little? He did it. I think that's all we need to know. That's the most important hint.
That's everything you need to know. I got told if I gave the script away, they'd kill me. They didn't say that, but that's what they meant.
They implied it.
They definitely meant that they would kill me. But Netflix is going to see this interview, Tori, and never give me a job again because I stop saying we're going to kill you.
I appreciate being able to interview you about an upcoming series that is going to be so good, as you've indicated from those 2 blinks. And
it's going to be epic.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tori, for talking to me. You have a great day now.
Thank you. You too. You can watch FUBAR on Netflix starting May 25th. That's all for me. To stay caught up on media and entertainment news, make sure you follow Sneak Peek. I'm Tori McClung. See you later.